Hello everyone, so today I'm going to do something that I usually don't do. I'd like to talk about one of the books that I'm reading. Now I usually don't do this because I like to get to the end of a book and I rarely get to the very end. But I'm going to go ahead and do this for The Alchemist, which is a book that I've read, let's see, approximately to page 118 out of, let's see how many pages it has, about 182. So this is actually a book of fiction, which I don't usually read. Books that are fiction, sometimes historical fiction. Mainly, I read spiritual books, books on philosophy, things like that. But I decided to kind of change it up. Now, the reason I decided to change it up is because this got great reviews online. It got great praises by the people that read it, and I'd like to talk about a quote from the book. And once again, it's The Alchemist. This is kind of what it looks like, by Paulo Coelho. And he's Hispanic, and he wrote this book, decades ago. It's been on Oprah Winfrey's, most liked books at one point or another. But and, Will Smith also said that he really liked it. It seems like a book that, even though it's fiction, it really tries to get to the heart of what being human is. And what do I mean by that? I mean by that. It starts out with like a normal guy. He's a shepherd. This is a couple hundred years ago. He's a shepherd. He's wandering. He starts wandering as a shepherd. Then he decides he needs to seek out his personal legend after being kind of confronted about his destiny by this old king guy. But I'm not really going to talk about the grand story of the book. I haven't finished it, like I said, but I'd like to talk about a specific quote from it. I really like the idea of a personal legend, that which the entire universe conspires to grant you your destiny, your wish. And these are simple philosophical ideas, but they really hit home with me. Now, I'll go ahead and read this quote, and this quote is on page 104 through 105. I'm not really spoiling anything by reading this for you, but it's in reference to divination by those who figured out how to do it. And specifically in the book, he's talking about a guy that reads twigs in the desert. And around what part of the book that I've read to is basically around the time when he sees two hawks and interprets it in the desert, which I'm not really giving away a whole lot by telling you that. But okay, let's get to the quote. I'll go ahead and read the whole paragraph and a little bit of the next page, of course. And this is when he's talking to a camel driver. The camel driver understood what the boy was saying. He knew that any given thing on the face of the earth could reveal the history of all things. One could open a book to any page or look at a person's hand. One could turn a card or watch the flight of the birds. Whatever the thing observed. One could find a connection with his experience of the moment. Actually, it wasn't that those things in themselves revealed anything at all. It was just that people, looking at what was occurring around them, could find a means of penetrating to the soul of the world. Now, the soul of the world is an idea he returns to again and again, and it really is a spiritually, philosophically unifying idea, the soul of the world. How when people die, they kind of become one with the animals, one with the land, one with the earth, and our souls all kind of mesh together. It's a very universal and attractive idea to myself. I have my own beliefs, of course, but in a way, he's very much right. And it's just kind of a simple philosophical idea. It's not like incredibly complicated or getting in the nitty gritty details. But he really hits home. Paulo Coelho, I always forget his name, really hits home in The Alchemist on really the belief of human beings, how we should all follow our destiny, how the whole universe actually conspires to grant us our personal legend, that thing that we work towards, that thing that has always been inside of us that we discover. Even if it's people, being with certain people, we discover that relationship that was always meant to be when we encounter these people. And it was always meant to be, it was always going to happen. Now, back to the quote. And he says, it wasn't that those things in themselves revealed anything at all. It was just that people looking at what was occurring around them could find a means of penetrating to the soul of the world. Now, this is kind of my experience with divination. Now, I cast runes. I read them, of course. I developed my own shell system of divination. I've delved a little bit into the tarot, voodoo tarot specifically, but my main form is runic divination, and I've always felt that if you develop good insight, and you have a basic understanding of the runes, then that's all you need to really delve into what's going to happen in the future. Really analyze it on a subconscious level, not just a conscious level, is what divination allows you to do, whatever system you're working in, and you can give great advice, because I've given great advice to people, and I've predicted some future events, but not in a specific fashion. When I read runes, I feel like I am bringing something that is always meant to happen forward, and making myself analyze it. And it's really the human being analyzing it. It's not anything to do with the runes themselves. It's not anything to do with the twigs. It's not anything to do with the shells. It's not anything to do with the cards. It's about the person analyzing it and their ability to really penetrate to the soul of the world, like that quote says, to penetrate to the core of reality itself, of our home, of all of our homes, which shares a similar core, the core of the world. And I'm not just talking about the core of the earth, I'm talking about the core of the human soul. And if we can penetrate down to that through divination, all we really need to do that is insight and just a basic understanding of a system of divination. And everybody has a chance to penetrate down to the soul of the world, down to our united subconscious, our united destiny as a humanity, and really understand who we are, not just what's going to happen, which always is more vague than specific, but who we are. That can be much more specific than future events. I found in divination, unless you're really great at divination, then really analyzing who a person is and what they should do in their lives is something that you can develop to a point where you can be specific about it. And I've done that in many cases where people didn't tell me specifics about their problem. They just told me very basic information, no specifics, like I'm having a problem with something that's in this realm, like my family's having a problem, how should I address it? And then I basically went down, and this has happened more than a few different times, but basically went down to what he needed to do, and basically gave him the rune reading, for instance, that he basically needed. The runes, I kind of think we're talking to him, not necessarily me. It wasn't necessarily the runes, but our united subconscious being brought forward through the runes that was speaking to him. And after I told him, what he needed to do, the basic summary of the situation, along with an action he should do, he was like amazed. And this has happened multiple times. And it's not really the runes themselves, but like when I say the runes we're talking to him, it's really our united subconscious being pierced into through the runes, was accessed, and then that information came forward with what he should do, the analysis that he needed. And I always, I've never really charged for a rune reading, but whenever I give the advice, it always ends up being good advice, and it just happens too many times to be coincidence. And it could be this placebo effect, people, wanting to believe, so they end up believing, and they end up making it work. I'm open to that possibility. It just seems that most of the advice is so specific that I couldn't have known just me in and of myself because I'm so awesome. It had to be that penetration to the soul of the world, the soul of humanity. And I don't really think that it was me necessarily, but my bit of insight combined with my technique, accessing our united subconscious. Now, I would highly recommend reading this book. There's some key ideas that really just are amazing to the human heart, and I would highly recommend it. It's called The Alchemist, and once again, it's by Paulo Coelho. Of course, I've had this quote and his name in the book up here behind me for a little while now. But I just wanted to make it clear that there are elements in this that are universal, that can be understood and appreciated by all, and that can lead to a better understanding of ourselves just by using these basic ideas and applying them to your life. You know, a lot of time when we read fiction books, we're like, okay, well, I can't apply that because it didn't actually happen. But there's something amazing that happens when you read a story, even if it's not true. That story becomes a part of you. It gets down, I'm not going to say literally, but it kind of gets down into your DNA. And it becomes a part of how you understand, how the people around you understand, and who you become without you even knowing it a lot of the time. You know, the better the story, the more universal, the more piercing to who we are the story is, the bigger part of you that it becomes. So I would highly recommend the book. Please check it out. It's about a shepherd boy that goes on a journey to basically discover his personal legend and fulfill it. And like it says in the book, the entire universe basically conspires to grant us our destiny when we pursue it with our hearts full of allowing that personal legend to come about. And I'd like to read one more quick quote just before I kind of end this video, because it's gone even a little bit longer than I meant it to go. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Here it is. Okay. Courage, I can't tell you exactly who said it, otherwise I might ruin something, but courage is the quality most essential to understanding the language of the world. Think about that. And I will leave you with that. Thank you very much for watching.